study your market, pinpoint the area that you want to invest in. And when you interview your contractors, make sure, check out all their references and stuff. And I even recommend for them to get Pete's course on how to get contractors.
You're listening to 5 Hour Real Estate Week, where you'll learn to consistently buy real estate in only 5 hours a week. So if you're ready to invest in real estate, achieve financial freedom, and own the lifestyle you deserve, even with your job, this is the show for you. Now, here's your host, Mike Butler.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Winter Wednesday episode of the 5 Hour Real Estate Week. And I've got a very, very special guest. This guy's a superstar. I have not known him for 30 plus years, but he's got a very interesting story. And I promise you that you can relate to the successes and the achievements and the pains and the seminars, the School of Hard Knocks that he's been in. And I met Randy. It's Randy Hammer from Brownsville, Indiana. Is that right, Randy? Brownsburg, Indiana. Okay, it's up there in the southernmost province of Canada. And now he's got a new home down in the United States. He's got 2 homes, and he's got one down in Florida. So anyway, we met by, I'll say, Google. And so Randy got on the internet. He was searching on Google, and that's how he found me. And we'll get into his story about Mike and Randy here in just a minute. But my understanding, Randy started off, he had a job just like me and you. And if you're on this call, and with a full-time job, did you feel limited that as far as time you could devote to real estate, Randy?
Oh, yeah. Full-time job, real estate, and a small family, little kids running around.
Yeah. And didn't you have a great job like at a Caterpillar or something like that? Chrysler. Okay. And that's up in Indiana. So did you feel like you were limited? What gave you the bug to get started in real estate anyway, for starters?
I was born and raised on a farm and loved work ethic. And I got to be doing something all the time. And it was just too expensive to farm. So I got into real estate, and instead of farming land, I farmed houses.
I love that. So he's farming houses. So, yeah, working on a farm is pretty hard work. So I had the unfortunate experience of hauling hay in high school between double sessions on football between spring and fall practice and doing tobacco and all that. And boy, that was brutal. And I tell you what, real estate's 10 times easier, ain't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So did you retire from Chrysler?
I sure did.
Made it all the way through how many years?
Well, they shut the foundry down, and I had enough points to take the buyout and retired. So I've got, with my age and the years I had, I got 18 accredited years. And whenever I become of age, I start drawing a pension.
Okay. So let's go back to when you got started. Who lit your fuse on that? I mean, somebody had to say, hey, Randy, piss on this farming stuff. Let's take a look at this real estate. Who was that person or event? Or
my in-laws, when I was married, my in-laws got involved in it and started going around with them to help them on little repairs and stuff. And I'm more like, if they can do this, I know I could probably do it. So bought a course and educated myself.
Which one?
Carlton Sheets.
Carlton Sheets. Okay. He used to be on TV all the time.
Yeah.
And I couldn't afford it. I'd watch it and try to learn something, but I couldn't afford it. So how old were you then? Do you remember?
I was 25.
25 years old and had a full-time job and watching the outlaws making money doing this real estate stuff. Were they buy and hold or buy and sell?
They're buy and hold. They had rentals and stuff.
Cool. Okay. And so you got the Carlton Sheets course. Mm-hmm. And do you remember what you did to get started back then?
I just started looking and started making offers. And I was looking for, the time I got in it, they were pretty much just giving you money. I mean, just walk in the bank, you sign your name, and they just write you a check.
Holy cow. Do you remember what year that was?
1990.
Okay.
Is when they was pretty much writing blank checks. And I bought 9 houses the first year with nothing out of my pocket. The bank financed everything.
Okay. So hold on a minute before we get there. Did you have a goal when you decided, okay, I got this Carlton Sheet course, I see what my outlaws are doing? Did you have a goal of what you wanted to do before you bought it?
I wanted to replace my employment, my working 9-to-5 job. I wanted to be my own boss.
So you want to have enough houses that replace that?
Yeah.
And so the first year you bought 9 houses.
Yeah.
Holy cow, that is phenomenal. Okay, so man, I had a thought, but I just had a brain fart here. So you bought 9 houses and no money out of pocket, and you made those rentals. Were they fixer-uppers?
Yeah, they were inner city and low income and very educational, because here you had a guy from the country. I wouldn't say a sheltered life, but I was farm boy going to the inner city, and I'm scratching my head. And I'm all like, do people really live like this? I mean, I walk in and there's just furniture stacked up and clothes stacked up, and things need to be repaired. And I'm all like, there's no way I could do this. And that just motivated me to start purchasing houses. I didn't want my tenants to live that way. I didn't want my house in that condition. That was motivation enough just to seeing what was out there.
So the first year you buy 9 houses. And so did those 9 houses, assuming that you get them paid off, would they have replaced your job income?
I bought 9 wasn't enough. So I bought 10 the second year, 10 more.
Okay. So there's 19. And what I love to teach people is how to get 20 nice rentals paid for and do it safely in 3 to 5 years. Mm-hmm. And so in 2 years' time, you got 19 rentals.
Yeah.
Now, you said the bank was real easy with money. And so no money out of pocket, including rehab and acquisition cost. I can relate to what you're talking about there. And it just seemed like, man, this is easier than hauling hay and working on a farm, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And it was fun.
Okay. And you were working a full-time job at the same time.
Oh, yes. 12-hour days.
So if you could, with me, step back in this time capsule and try to give our listeners, everybody on this call here, a typical, let's say, week of you doing 9 deals a year, buy and hold 9 houses a year, another 10 while working your full-time job, a typical week. Can you remember your Sunday through Saturday?
In between my boys' little sports games, it was looking at properties, doing the maintenance. Then I was just a one-man show. I did it all. And going back, fixing the things that need to be fixed to maintain. And at the time, I was working the midnight shift, so that gave me the flexibility to where I could do stuff during the day.
Okay, so you remind me of a firefighter. So they work 24-hour shifts and then off 48. But working a graveyard shift, okay? I did that too. And oh my gosh, we were a walking zombie all the time.
Yeah.
And that's just brutal. Well, I made more money on late watch or on that graveyard shift and, 25 cents more an hour or something like that, or whatever it was. But that was brutal. But I trust that you burned the candle at both ends. Yeah. And so you forced yourself to be efficient. Can you give our listeners, for those that have a job, especially those ones working at late watch shift, a couple of things that you've remembered doing to make yourself efficient so you could buy, fix up, and rent out those 9 houses the first year and the 10 houses the second year?
Just got to know the areas and did my due diligence.
Okay, how'd you do that? So learn your market. How'd you do that?
Just what was the price points are where I wanted to be, distance from my home. I didn't want to travel too far because my time was, I had to be efficient. I couldn't be traveling 1 hour to a property. I cut it to where if I couldn't make it within 30 minutes from my personal house, then I wasn't interested.
Okay, let's back up a little bit to learn your market. Okay, so I assume that you had an area or a neighborhood you liked to buy and hold in.
Yeah.
Okay, how did you keep up with market values there? Was it in the newspaper? We didn't have internet back then.
Well, it was newspaper. Had a couple realtors I networked with, but mainly it was just the want ads and real estate magazines at that time, because like I said, there was no internet.
Oh, so you look at properties for sale. Yeah. They used to have those books. Remember the MLS books or something? I used to get, we couldn't wait till they came out so we could get it. Oh gosh. Yeah. Those bring back some memories there. And so we wanted to be the first up, and they had a section in the front. Ours used to be, we'd get 2 books about this thick, about 2 inches thick for folks that are just listening. And at the beginning, they would have like new listings. And boy, we'd burn that up and go flip through it and all that. So what about making offers? Did you try to streamline your trips to town to do things, whether it's make offers, look at properties, work on a property, repair a property, anything like that?
I found out real quick, and it plays true to this day, more so now, is if I learned real quick that if I ran across the house I need to make an offer right then and there if it's a good deal, because it wouldn't be there when I get back.
Okay. Now, what allowed you or gave you the confidence to do that? Knowing the market?
Knowing the market and just having the information that gave me the confidence that.
Okay. So here's what I want to stress. Okay. So Randy lives in a farmhouse and he'd go to the city, had a little drive. But the point is, he didn't have to get on a computer. Well, they didn't have them back then. And he didn't have to get on the MLS and see what's this house worth. Somebody throw him a price. It's in that neighborhood that he wants to buy and hold in. He knows the market value. He made an offer, boom, right then and there. And it wasn't no dilly-dallying around and going and studying on it for 2 or 3 days and this and that, right?
Exactly.
Okay. What were some of your challenges back then that you felt frustrated with? Or was a seminar?
It's the first frustration was, again, it plays true to this day, is that people are not being truthful. They'll tell you anything to sell the property. And then I just learned to be able to read in between the lines and trust my own eyes and trust my instinct to to make the offer on the property. And the biggest thing was knowing my market and the areas I wanted to invest in. And, I had houses that people sent me that weren't in my area that I was wanting to invest in. And I said, sorry, but unless it's a killer deal, I just can't do it. Because I wanted to keep them all, because I was working full time. I wanted to keep them all close together.
So when you pulled the trigger to retire, you said the foundry shut down.
Yeah.
Do you remember how many doors you had at that time?
At that time, I had 23, I think it was.
23 doors. And did that replace your job income?
I'm sorry?
Did that replace your job income, or did you get a supplement pension or something with it?
No, that replaced mine.
That's pretty cool. So listen to this guy. So he pulled it off in roughly 3 years. I'm going to say give him 4 years, because he had a year of getting his feet wet and learning it and the Carlton sheets and all that. And we make a lot of mistakes when we get started, but you didn't sit on your duff. So you had systems. And I tell you what, it is phenomenal that you bought 9 while working your full-time job, taking care of the kids, doing sports, all this and that. So you had systems. Now, you grew your portfolio to probably 4, 6, 8 times that today. And you're also doing a whole bunch of buy, fix up, and sell and retail on properties you don't necessarily want to hold because they don't fit the type of property that you want. And so that's when, tell me about, before you met Mike Butler, about how you were in this mess of an office with paper stacked up, not only to the ceiling, but up to the ceiling in the second floor.
Oh, it was a nightmare. It was spending way too much time on paperwork, office work, spreadsheets, trying to keep track of everything. And I was spending hours and hours on end. And luckily for my full-time job, the 9-to-5 job, I had some downtime. So I was able to utilize my downtime to try to keep up. And then I met you, and
tell folks how you found Mike Butler.
I was needing an accounting program to keep all my rents and receipts and all that. And I just searched you on the internet, Google, and you popped up. And I know it was a couple of days before we connected. And then when we finally connected, I was getting ready to go into Menards, and I sat out in the parking lot for 2 hours talking with you, just picking your mind, you're sharing, and I was sold. I mean, from that point forward with your systems, and couldn't wait to get in. And the first one I bought was the investor books, and absolutely loved it. Still use it to this day. And it's exciting.
So how did it streamline? The transition was probably the biggest challenge for you, to go back and get the old stuff in there. So keep in mind, you've been investing for how many years at that time?
At that time, I was probably in at least 20 years.
At least 20 years, probably doing what, 6 buy, fix up, and retails a month?
Yeah.
Okay, so he was a dolphin doing flips, plus he had all his rentals. And so you can just imagine the massive amounts of, let's call it documentation, closing statements, receipts, invoices, billing vendors, rent payments coming in, just insurance, property taxes, loan payments. I mean, that was a monster. And sorry about that, but that was like a backward burp or something. I don't know what that was. And so you got that all figured out. Was it fair to say the more you used it, the more you understood it?
Oh, yes. It's just Still learning the different tricks and stuff. Find something, thought, wow, I didn't know I could do that. And it simplifies my process. And
so how about the hours saved?
oh, God, I went to spending 2 or 3 hours a day just trying to stay on top of it and not staying on top of it to maybe 4 hours a week by entering everything. I use your one-touch system. I get it, I enter it, and I'm done.
Cool. Okay, so you were spending massive amounts of time, 4 to 5 hours a week?
Yeah.
Which is quite a bit of time. And so what do you think you spend on it today?
4, maybe 5 hours at most.
4 or 5 hours? I thought you said you were spending 4 or 5 hours.
No. 4 or 5 hours a day.
Oh, a day?
Yeah. Well, just because time I get everything set up, it's about 3 or 4 hours of paperwork, trying to stay on top of it, looking for files with your investor books. Everything's right there, one touch.
So how long does it take you to retrieve a receipt from somebody ask about a bill?
About 2 minutes at most.
Okay. Now, I remember you telling me this story here. And so you got all this set up and you just are getting super excited, pumped up. And now you can keep your finger on the pulse of your business. Do you believe that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I know to the penny what I spend on the rehab.
Even while it's happening?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Would you have any fear of buying a 50-unit apartment community?
Oh, no, I would not.
Not a doubt. Okay. Before this system, even with your experience of 20 plus years, would you maybe hit the pause button to see if it might be too big a bite to take off at one time?
It scared the heck out of me.
Yeah. Because
I'd be very hesitant.
A whole bunch more paperwork. Now, tell everybody the story about when you took your books into your CPA and what you did.
Oh, I took the investor books, had it all printed out.
Was this tax time?
Yes, tax time, and set appointment up, went in and took everything, had everything printed and had my thumb drive. Went in there and I showed her what I had. And she goes, I can't believe this, cannot believe this. She come around, gave me a hug, kissed me on the cheek. She says, you're a dream. I've never seen books like this before. And
wow.
It simplified her job because everything was there. I mean, everything was pretty much done. She just had to verify it, enter it, and done.
Wow. That is awesome. And then, cool. So she gave you a kiss.
Yeah.
That made you smile, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Did that reduce your bill?
Yeah, because she didn't have the time invested in it. I mean, it was just went from a typical investor, a couple weeks. She had mine done in 3 days.
With a smile.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it saves you money there. So that's pretty cool. I'm just so proud of you, Randy. And today, right now, you're sitting in somewhere in Florida, aren't you?
I sure am.
Got a second home down there, and you're doing deals back home, and you're doing deals down in Florida. So tell me what life is like today.
Well, just closed on my latest rehab flip down here in Florida. Closed on it yesterday. And looking to buy down here, up there in Indiana. And really getting myself positioned for this floodgates to open for these foreclosures, because I think it's coming.
Yeah, something's going to happen in the real estate market. It can't keep going the way that it is.
Right.
And you're absolutely right. Now, Randy is one of our featured experts, and I love to invite him to be on our panel of experts. And we're actually going to have that. I'm restructuring everything for the upcoming event. And Randy's just a boatload of information. And you started off buying fixer-uppers, I assume, like me, because your daddy taught you how to change oil in his truck so you could save money in yours. Yeah. And we didn't know any better, but we did all the work ourselves getting started because we could save money. Do you touch the houses anymore today?
No.
No.
I'll jump in. If I had nothing to do, I'll jump in with the contractor because I have a pretty good relationship with my contractors and said, what do you need me to do? I'm here to help. You know,
wow.
if it's picking up trash, scrap, or painting, running wire, doesn't matter. I mean, if I'm not doing anything, hey, I'm here to help, and it just speeds the process up a little bit.
For somebody getting started today who still has a job, can you give them a couple of tips about what to do or not to do if they want to be where you're at? Is
study your market, pinpoint the area that you want to invest in. I would keep it local, close to you, because time's is not on your side. You got to be efficient, and when you interview your contractors, make sure check out all the references and stuff. And I even recommend for them to get Pete's course on how to get contractors, because I used it down here in Florida and it freaking worked great. I love it.
Yeah. So one of the biggest challenges, I guess, when it comes to money, unless you're swinging a hammer, and I don't encourage you to do that because you can hire somebody to do it, is to find and identify good handyman, good contractors. Mm-hmm. And Pete Youngs has a course on that, and Randy got that. And Randy's a contractor himself, and he implemented Young's things in there. And man, vendors, if you're not careful, and contractors and stuff, they can clean your clock. And they might not even intend to do that. They'll do it by accident, but you're the one having to pay all the bills. So that's good. So what's your lifestyle like today?
Just manage my properties, the rentals, maintain them, and continue to look for properties and up in Indiana and in Florida, and just enjoying life.
That's cool. So having fun. I see you smiling a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And we both had to fix our hair a little bit when we got on here. So I tell you what there, Randy, you are an awesome, and you are an inspiration to every wannabe millionaire and mega millionaire. And I want to congratulate you on your achievements and your successes, especially having pulled that off while working your full-time job. And folks, don't knock yourself if you have a job, and don't do what some of these gurus say about, well, just jump into it full-time. You can make more on one or two deals than you can your job all the time. I'll tell you what, there's no way I would have done that. I wouldn't have been able to function if I tried to do real estate full-time and didn't have a job. So, here's what I want to tell you. Wasn't it weird? You can remember this. You were talking about going to the bank and doing refis and things like this as you were growing your business. Did you find this? This is something I experienced. The bank would loan you money more. You were more secure or stable, they said, because you had a job.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They got to treat these new investors working full-time, jump in. You got to treat that job as an asset, because that's an asset to the bank. Yeah, because they've got a source of income to pay their money back.
Yeah, I might owe. I can remember I was making like $41,000 a year as a policeman, and I got millions in real estate. Okay. And they said that I was a good borrower because I had a job. I said, my job can't touch that. So, maximize the benefits that you have with your job there. And remember, quality of life comes first. And you heard Randy talking about going and doing sports with his kids and things like that. And so real estate, I tell you what, real estate's been wonderful for me, and it's been wonderful for you. And we want to help everybody else get there too. And so Randy's living proof of getting those 20 nice rental houses and do it safely in 3 to 5 years that replaced his job income. So that's pretty cool. Anything, let's see, I'm looking over my little cheat sheet of notes here. So you had challenges with contractors, okay? And up. How long does it take you to make an offer on a house? To see that, to go look at it, scribble it up, cipher it up, and make your offer?
I do 90% of my work for him, go look at it. I want to go look at it. If it's everything that they said it is, I'll make an offer right on the spot.
Yeah. So you're just going there to verify the information. You feel like you're pert near having a deal anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is cool. So thanks for being on this episode and this show. And can you tell us about what you've done in the last 12 months and where you want to be in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, my latest rehab flip was down here in Florida. Ran across the deal. It was on the water canal. It was a nice property, and it was people, when I was doing the rehab, had people come stop every day wanting to know when it was going to be ready. Well, they wanted to know when it was going up for sale. I had them. They were a lot of people looking at it. It was very rewarding. It was the first rehab down here in Florida. Educational, different market. Basically the same rehab, but different rules and regulations, and had to adjust accordingly and move forward.
Hurricane stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so can you share the numbers with us on there? Just ballpark?
I paid $165 and sold it for $450.
Oh my gosh.
I had probably about $100,000 in it.
That's pretty good numbers there. And the turnaround time? From
start to finish, and time I closed, 6 months.
Wow. With $100K in rehab. That is awesome. So, wow. And so plus all your rentals, that paid off a few rentals too, didn't it?
I sure did.
Yeah. So that's cool. So what do you want to do in the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you see yourself?
I want to invest in some condominiums down here for short-term rentals and just maintain my rental portfolio up in Indiana. Downsize up there, just keep a core of about 15 to 18 solid properties.
Trade, pick the good ones.
Yeah. And then enjoy life.
Enjoy life. Well, that is cool. Well, I want to thank you for being on this episode, and want everybody, you will get to see Randy in upcoming events and more. And thank you so much, Randy. You have a ball down there, and I will see you soon.
Glad you joined us for another episode of 5 Hour Real Estate Week. The best thing you can do now is put this information to action. To help you get started, Mike created a free resource for you called How to Buy 50 Houses a Year, Even with Your Job. Download it now by going to mikebutler.com/50 houses. And we'll see you on the next episode.